Derivatives trading involves substantial risk of loss and is not suitable for all investors. Past performance is not necessarily indicative of future results.
So stressful when the world's on fire. Good God. I can't look at this, guys. Like, my strategy is you buy it and you hope that you gotta get spotted. Yeah, but we all think you're crazy. You don't fight this. No way. The markets are freaking out and you don't think that anything is wrong? Come back tomorrow and I'll lose it all. Should be fun. Good morning, everybody. It is what, the 20th? The 20th of January, President's Day. I would highly recommend not trading today. Usually pickings aren't very good. Camera's a little tilted. We're gonna have to fix that. It's actually tilted to the side. We're gonna have to fix that later. But I really hate like changing my schedule. So here we are, still streaming on holiday. And we're gonna do a little bit of research and programming and so forth. Well, thank you for those of you guys tuning in, joining me on this President's Day. Well, let's go and look at what the markets are doing, I guess. If we have to. All right. So, over the weekend, well, into Friday, treasuries were moving down. And we're about where we were on Friday. A little bit higher. We had this move down and then back up. And here in the E-mini, it was just up and flat. I expect, let's come over here now and look at the calendar. Let me pull it up. Here's a calendar this week. Here we go. All right. So we got a few things. We do have a Bank of Canada is going to be doing their rate statement, existing home sales. And then ECB is doing their press conference, rate decision stuff. And then we have Flash Manufacturing and Flash Services PMI on Friday, which is a fairly significant number. Overall, though, we're really light on economic data. Uzi, good morning. Just dropping by to drop a like. Got some veterinary stuff to deal with, so I'll be taking advantage of the holiday action by doing nothing. Yeah. Let me see here. I wanted to go. There was just on. We got a lot of earnings this week, and normally we don't care too much about that stock stuff, but this week I think it's important. Economic calendar and anticipated earnings releases, right? So we do have some T-bills as well. Wanted to know. Oh, and Redbook. But a bunch of bill auctions and announcements. I guess those are actually fairly important. But here, we got anticipated earnings. Netflix. What else we got? I don't really know any of these guys on Wednesday. Procter & Gamble on Thursday. And Friday, American Express. I don't know if they're really a huge one. Have a good day and productive day. Thank you, Uzi. Yeah, so, Logitech today after the close. So yeah, there are some earnings, and I think that we're going to have a much better idea of kind of where we're at the end of this week. But overall, I don't see very good trading in general for this setup for this week. So yeah. And then add on top of that the impeachment trial starts tomorrow, I guess. And that looks like that is probably going to be like a real shit show. So yeah. All right, so I've got a couple of little things that I want to start out here with. Oh, by the way, I should warn you guys. So I haven't been feeling very good, really all month. So I went to a doctor yesterday, and he couldn't find anything wrong with me. It looks like I don't have walking pneumonia or anything like that. And based on my symptoms, he said that I probably have like post-viral infection. What do we call irritation? So they gave me prednisone, and it's working really well. But supposedly prednisone has some pretty it has side effects. We'll just say. So if I seem different, like mood swings or anything like that, I apologize in advance. All right. So, anyways, so first thing I wanted to do here was I was looking at my Ninja script output and I had all this stuff. So, something is up. So, I think when I fix this first one, I have two ZN charts up apparently. So, let's do something about that. So, it should be on this 1 minute. Come over here. Should be on this 1 minute chart. Because I think where I want it. Oh, I guess I don't have it on that one. Over here. No. 5 minute. No. But yeah. No. Where are you? 60 minute? Well, that's interesting. I can't even find. Well, it's probably on this one. There it is. Perhaps this one? Perhaps on my daily chart? Hmm. Oh, I'm gonna find you. You can run and tell that, homeboy. Cannot access files in Jigsaw CSV. Oh, that's so weird. Okay, we're going to look through all of them again. So there's that, and that, that. Oh, wait, there's daily ZN. Oh, that's just the volume profile one. ZN. Did I go past it? Nope, not that one. Not on that one. Man. It is hiding. It is hiding good. Let's move this down, by the way. Move down. There we go. Ugh, that wasn't the greatest sound for you guys. And there's Bitcoin. Oh, maybe I have another workspace open? Nope, I only have this one. Where is it? I looked everywhere, didn't I? I don't know where it is. I am determined to find you. Move this over here. Cannot go because it is being used by another process. Okay, you know what we're going to do? I'm going to restart. Maybe it was just Jigsaw that was using it. We shall see. Man, this watching the 10-year at 04 and 04 half, that is just dead. This is why you don't trade. That right there is why it's usually not a good idea to trade on a holiday, guys. You never know. Crazy stuff happens. I've seen some crazy stuff on holidays before. And then I regretted not trading it, but it's pretty rare. How come this one is not giving me my tweet deck? Tweet. Okay, here's the Ninja script output. Let's just watch it. Output its stuff. Huh. Well, I didn't get any bad outputs that time. Isn't that interesting? Huh, guys. All I have to say is, huh. No outputs. That's weird. There's the volume profile. Okay, well, whatever. So, if that's all good, I want to point out here, it's just dead, but remember we were saying there's more cancels than there are anything else, and it's actually going sideways right now. I have to keep an eye on that one. All right, next thing is some water here. I swear there was another bug in there too, but I restart Ninja and it's none of them are showing. So whatever. Okay, so not yesterday, but earlier in the week. Come over here to our YouTube. I used YouTube's social features to post a little poll to see what kind of setups you guys were the most interested in. You guys, 23% of you analyzing level 2 statistics and patterns, but I think that you all doing that because you could tell that I was interested in that. We're doing that one no matter what. Spread trading, not a whole lot of interest. Playing key levels, I thought that one would be stronger than it was. Time frame continuity and predicting stop orders. Probably people didn't even know what we're talking about with that one. I'm really skeptical about the key levels because I've gone through and put every key level that you can possibly think of on a chart and had trouble finding anything useful from it. Finding a level that seems to matter more or whatever, or putting levels up and seeing that there's a reaction to it and then trying to predict what's happening at those levels, especially in the treasuries. I've had a really hard time with that. I think we'll get to that eventually anyways, but I'm just pointing that one out. I'm a little skeptical about that one. But strong momentum continuation trades is one that I'm really interested in, and it looks like you guys are too. So I want to get into that a little bit. And the way that I'm going to do that one is I'm going to come over here. I'm going to bring this over here. So I don't think that I really need that chart. Oh, okay, there we go. Dun, dun, dun. This one. So here's like my 5-minute chart. And it's just in the 10-year is just too slow to use that. So I'm going to get rid of that one. But I think I'm going to start this in a new window, actually. So somebody gave me a momentum trade that I want to start investigating. So I think I'm going to set my chart up for that. Actually, I already have a template. If I can, templates load white. Nope, I need to get rid of the other data series. That's okay. There we go. Yeah. So it does have the time frame stuff on it too, but I might get rid of that. I might get rid of that. Just because I don't want to have it go so far back. So let's get rid of that. Okay. So I got 3 moving averages on here and a CCI and volume profiles on 15-minute bars. Let's just duplicate this again. Duplicate a new tab. We'll make this one be 5-minute, I think. Sure. Probably will look better on ZB. Let's do it in ZB. Oh, actually, I need to disconnect it from this no instrument link. There we go. ZB. Yeah, it does look a little bit better, but because of this holiday, it's not so good. So we want to see point of controls moving up, price above all 3 of the moving averages, the CCI increasing, and I guess that's basically the conditions, and then it match up on both time frames. So that's the setup that we'll use there. So for that one, I guess we just kind of we're going to have to wait till tomorrow and pull that one up, or, try it. If it happens, I think it actually would happen. It would be a fairly good setup. So we'll see on that one. Okay. Oh, let's take a picture of it. I want to go to like Friday or something like that. Yeah. Take a picture of that for John and see what he thinks. Okay, next thing. Oh, I got to message somebody here about this. Okay. What is next? I'm wondering if I should change my level 2 changes thing to just have like a trillion data series. I don't know how I feel about that one. Oh, you know what? I never turned on the robot, so you guys could be talking and wouldn't know it. Bots. Holy crap, you're trying Wyatt setup? That looks pretty close. You could see the point of controls moving higher bar to bar. Yes. I think it looks nice, right? Like I changed it so that the volume profile, the high point of the volume, the point of control is just a brighter gray. And I think it's pretty tasteful. I wish that my bars were a little thicker, but you know. That first post said carp, not carp. Holy carp. Yeah. I think we could try it this week. Well, maybe not. I don't think that we're going to get very many optimal setups for it this week. But I was just looking at it on Friday. So like if you looked at it on Friday, granted I would need a tick chart. Well, let's do that. One range. So on the, what was it, the 17th? This is the 17th, right? 17th. So the 17th at, let's say between 6:30 and 7. Okay, so here it is, 6:30 and to 7. So here, this one, all below and decreasing. So could you take this for 3 probably? It was trying to be polite. You're good. Oh, let's turn this on.
Gary Rich says why not add deviation bands, MACD, RSI, pivot points, etc., making your chart look like someone barfed on it.
So this is a trade that somebody shared with John and I a while back, and the only things that I have on there are the things that he said he used. So on this one, this part of it right here was probably a better one and would have worked. And when I look at the one range, it definitely would have worked. It never came back on you at all. These ones, so there was this little pullback that was about 4. But see, I don't know if it really qualified. The question is, how many bars of confirmation do you need? Like 3 bars of confirmation? So if it's like 3 bars, then you never get it until here. And then you would get it on this one. So I think that's our example trade. So we would go short here, this bar at a 1, and I think that we're only looking for like 3, right? So we take to 29.
Gary Rich says, did you try to back test that one?
Not yet. So I'm wondering if, I mean, I want to write it, and I think that it should be pretty back testable, right? I haven't tried writing a backtest using the order flow stuff. Particularly is the point of control decreasing over the last 3 bars.
Bot says, what does your longer time frame chart show around that same time of day?
My longer time frame chart? My 15 minute? Oh, that one's the 5 minute. That's the 15. We need the 15 minute. Okay, January 17th. I think they were both down, but I like the question. The one thing that I'm not sure about, John, is how many bars confirmation do you need? Does it just need to be 2 bars? Point of control moving down?
Bots says yes, he compared the 15-minute to the 5-minute looking for confirmation.
Yeah. But did he only need two bars of confirmation? So like, here's 1, 2, and then I could take it on this third one? Seems like you would need it to be like that. Otherwise, wouldn't happen very often. So here you could say 1, 2, and then you'd confirm it. But then when you look at this one,
Bots says how many bars do you need to confirm lower?
Yeah, that's the question. I don't know. How many bars? Or rather, how many bars with all of the conditions being set, all of the conditions being met below all of the moving averages, the point of controls are moving
Bots
down.
says only 0, nay, right?
Only 1, right?
Gary Rich says at Bots it's more for discretionary, not necessarily coded as a strategy to automate. Bots says it's either lower or it isn't.
So you're saying that are you saying that I could potentially, well, let's come back here. You saying that I could potentially take it on this bar right here? This 635 bar?
Air Cages says hello, sirs.
How's it going?
Bots says the guy that told us about it used to execute manually.
Yeah. I think that we could automate it. We could try doing that today, but I also kind of feel like I still don't know enough about it. So I could put in like incredibly
Bots
naive.
says he always used a 16 live
assumptions.
target 3 ticks $1,500 a trade.
Yeah, and I'm assuming that his stop was 3 ticks too, right? So that's why I was kind of looking back at this. It's like, well, if you took it here, that's 2, you're fine. If you took it here, then it wouldn't be fine. Where was that? Let's do global. Get them side by side here. All right, so here in this spot, this is the spot where I'd be like a little concerned, right? So I could take it on here.
Bots says yes, but he would on occasion exit with a scratch or -1.
Okay.
Gary Rich says when the histograms go above or below a level and price moves down or up, take a trade.
When the histograms. I am getting a little bit of, looking at the level 2, by the way, I'm getting some pulling on the bid side, which suggests to me that the path of least resistance is down in the 10-year at the moment. I don't know if that's what you were talking about.
Gary Rich says the second window.
This window? This one is just a one range chart to compare. This chart is not part of the strategy. I'm just looking at it to confirm whether or not you would have gotten stopped out. So that's where I'm saying, okay, here it's down. As soon as it's
Gary
below
Rich
all
says,
of these.
oh, sorry.
Yeah. As soon as it's below all of these, can I take it then, John? Right here at 625? I don't think you would want to do that one because I think there was news that day, right? But maybe the 635 bar, the end of that one, you could maybe take it, and you could take it at 09, and then that one would have worked. And then when we come at the 15 minute, well, we would have to wait until, I guess the earliest it could trigger would be 645. Okay, but that would still work. If we took it like this one right here, perhaps, you would get 3. Anyways, I am we could program it right now, but I'm worried that if I program it, then I'm going to put in assumptions in there that are wrong. And I think that I need to trade it a couple of times. Try and work it out a few times. I don't know. Let's see here. I have some notes here, so let me just make some notes about all of that. Oh, don't need that note. Deleted. We need to do better on the names. So the other day, we were talking about baby names, and I was like, well, what if we use the name Warren? Because Warren Buffett, like that would maybe be a good name, and maybe.
Bots says maybe set up an indicator like the TFC one you built that looks at the conditions, state rising or falling, of all of the MAs and POCs you're looking at.
That's not a bad idea. I don't know if I would find that. I don't know, John. I mean, it's not like it's a bad idea, but I'm just kind of wondering if it would really provide a whole lot of value. The time frame when it's makes sense because it can be really hard to go back and say, okay, where were we on the week, where were we on the day, and all that sort of stuff, right? But on this one, everything that I need to see is right there. So, I mean, that should be fairly. But it might help when we get to actually programming it. But let's do it with these two windows. I got these two windows right here.
Bots says looking for a signal when everything is in alignment.
Yeah, we got these two right here. I think that we can watch this for
Air
2
Cages
weeks.
says new indicator. Is this AlgoBox?
No. Stop. Air Cages, stop. Anyways, that's kind of what I'm thinking. We can get rid of this one. All right. Anyways, oh yeah. So we were talking about baby names, right? So I was like Warren Buffett. But see, the thing is the middle name has to be J. Like Warren J. And apparently, that was the name of that polygamous guy in Utah. So I was like, yeah, that's not gonna be doable. So I'm still haven't found good baby names. We're getting close too. I feel stressed out now. Like I'm gonna miss the deadline. Oh, they actually ticked up. That's interesting. Was there any volume on that? How come? Oh, let's see here. There we go. Like, where's the volume? I found it. I found it. Okay, yeah. So my notes. Here we go. Trading ideas. I should put in here programming list too. Yeah, the next thing is I wanted to look at this picture that John sent me. Not that John, this John. There's so many Johns. Not this one.
Bots says my new grandson's name is Rowan Harrison Ray Groombridge.
Rowan Harrison Ray.
Air Cages says would you want to become a full-time trader?
No. I don't think I do. I would like trading to be one of many in income streams. Okay, so he's saying placing the expanding triangles off of all of the pivots. Oh. Why do you think we'd have to
Gary
mess with
Rich
that one a
says
little
really
bit?
not want to become a full-time trader? Weird.
Well, I think that if trading is your only source of income, that it can be detrimental to your results. That's what I think. Or at least I think that for me it would be. So that's kind of why I don't think that it's ever going to be a full-time gig. Now, it could be the
Bot
case.
says he smiles when his grandfather sings "Row, row, row your boat" to him.
That's funny. I don't think that my wife would go for rowing, though. Rowan. Well, that is 2 syllables. It has to be multiple syllables. Yeah. I mean, it might be the case that, like we have the YouTube
Air
channel.
Cages says Gary, cowboy got murdered in a spectacular fashion. I'm sorry for your loss.
But if it was the sole source of income, I think there would be trouble. I would have trouble with that. John, there might be something to the doing it that
Gary
way,
Rich
but
says, what's the purpose then? The ultimate goal is to become a full-time trader and sole income.
no, not necessarily. It doesn't have to be your sole income. I think that for many people, that for most people, that's an unrealistic expectation and goal.
Gary Rich says, why not?
Well, I mean, think about it. You got 95% of traders lose. Okay. So let's just say that you're good enough to go through and have a profitable year. Cool. So then you go full time. You can have a profitable year next year. How are you going to pay all the bills if you don't have a profitable year? And what are the actual chances of you having another profitable year? Profitable year, right? And that's a lot of stress. So I believe at this time, at least, that this idea that the goal is supposed to be to trade full time is perhaps an unreasonable expectation that maybe causes some traders to fail, because they say to themselves, I need to do X much or else I won't be able to live off of it. And so they ignore setups that would be available to them that aren't as much.
The goal should be to use futures and or options to hedge your long-term portfolio.
Well, yeah. One of the things that I like about going with futures, because there's always this argument like, well, if you're not beating the index, then why bother trading futures? And it's kind of like, well, okay, first of all, if you're even profitable, then good for you. If you're beating the index, then wow. Okay. Now,
Gary Rich says, yes, I get the 90 to 95%, so why even bother to do this? You have such negativity with your thinking.
Oh, Gary,
Bot says, and or
are you
to
trolling
enhance
me?
returns of your long-term portfolio. John B says, a lot of pressure when is your only source of income.
Exactly.
Changes your emotions.
Exactly. Wait, is that the same John? Or is that a different John? Anyways, so the thing that I think that I like about futures is, number one, you can trade it with very little risk. Okay. Yeah, it's super risky, but you can put like $1,000 in there and be okay. Oh, okay. That must be John B from. So I was talking to John B because Gary Norton is selling his manual. It used to be that you could pay $5,000 or whatever it was to be tutored by him, and he took the materials that he was using to teach people, and he's making it available through Jigsaw for $1,000. And it's funny because we were having this conversation, like, how much would you pay for education and everything like that? And like, to me, $1,000 is a lot for a manual, but it is something that, like, I do think probably works. Although it's kind of like, just because it works doesn't mean that it's going to work for you. And you got to realize that it's like a super intense way of trading, the way that Gary trades. So maybe it won't be for me, but with the kid right now, it's just not in the cards for me to spend $1,000 on it. Although I really, really want to. I really want to spend $1,000 on it, but I don't think I'm going to. Not anytime soon, at least. But anyways, so with the futures, I think of there's two things. As one, you can learn to trade with very, very little risk, and you can make lots of trades, and that is something that I think is really, really valuable. And I think that it gives you a really good picture of where the market is. So you can scalp and learn how to trade on lower time frames, and then hopefully if you build up your capital, and it might not necessarily be through trading, then it will assist your investments on higher time frames. Spend $1,000 on a trading manual. I trade part-time and it's fun that way. I have a sales job in the UK and trade in the US evening and day off Tuesday. Yeah, see? I'm just saying, listen, if you're profitable enough that it's your sole source of income, that's great. But I'm not being negative. I kind of feel like you're trolling me when you say this, but like, seriously, guys, for 95% of people out there, it is not realistic. And sitting there and putting this idea in their head from the very, very beginning that you have to do this full time, I think is harmful. I think that if you start out thinking, it's a really expensive hobby and you're learning how to trade and just get yourself to profitable or break even after commissions, then you're in a great spot. You're in a really, really great spot. And then you can work from there. And if you end up being successful enough that you can do it full time, then great. But that's not going to be most people. And I'm concerned that if you go and you tell people, well, you have to be able to live off of it, then they sit there and they say, well, here's a strategy that I think would work, but I wouldn't be able to make enough money to live off of it, so they don't do it. And so then, and I think that one of the reasons why a lot of traders fail is because they're reaching too high. 95% of trader, why bother? Yeah, well, but I already gave you two reasons why. One, because you can learn how to trade for little risk and it can help you on higher time frames. But you can't, it's not negative to state facts. Sorry, facts have no bias. 95% of traders will fail. So you should maybe consider that when you go about setting your goals. and maybe you should set your sights a little bit more realistically first than, I'm going to be a full-time trader, because I know maybe 4 or 5 people out of the thousands of people that I've met through doing this that actually do it full-time. And Gary Rich being one of them, although I haven't been able, he hasn't confirmed that to me. But now on that note, Gary, if there is a strategy or a type of way of trading that doesn't involve trading oil, because I don't have the risk appetite for oil. I'd love to hear it. What do you think, homies? That the money trading from you can invest in homes and invest on other things too. Yeah, totally. I really want to buy a rental property. I really want to buy a duplex. You know what, John? The more I'm looking at this, the more I'm thinking maybe if we drew the lines on our own or automatically off of those pivots, that it might do something. But I'm a little, I don't know how useful it would actually be or not. But this is another one of those. Let's just keep doing it for a week or two and see what happens. Why not a fourplex? If I could find one. Actually, I think the one that I was looking at last time was a fourplex, and I totally would have done it if I had the down payment. If we didn't have all this stuff going on with having a kid and everything, probably would be able to be doing that right now. But I digress. 3 renters to pay the mortgage and you live for it. I probably wouldn't live there. I have a house. Gary, I will soon post a very simple system in Discord. I'll write all the instructions and worksheets with it. I have to screen cap it. Okay. I'll do it. If you give me a system So we have whites. We have a bunch of these systems. So we're gonna have to limit them down. But you're here every day. So and you give good stuff, and so if you could post something, we'll definitely try it. And I am really into at the moment anything that is really, really regimented and laid out, like the exact conditions that you want to get in. Like I want to know, like for me, a good trade plan would be like, here's your trade or your set of trades, what markets those trades tend to work in, what you should see after you enter into the trade, what you shouldn't see when you enter into the trade, and what your average risk and profit targets are going to be. And I feel like that if I have all of those things laid out, that that takes a lot of the finickiness about it off. Because I think that some of the problems that I've had with, like, I seem to have a pretty good read on order flow, but then because it's so vague, I give myself way too much wiggle room to make really bad trades. I was reading, what is his name, Mark Douglas? Trading in the Zone. So, yeah. I used to work with a guy that owned two fourplexes side by side in a quiet neighborhood. He lived rent free and was essentially building manager for both places. Yeah. I I mean I have a house, but I would still like a rental property. And if I could do a fourplex, I could. I think that I would maybe go into it half and half, or maybe even splitting it multiple ways with my brother and my dad. Um, I'm a little, I'm a little cautious about real estate right now. I know Douglas' book is very good. Ari Kiev book is great also. Yeah, I'll have to look. Ari Kiev I haven't heard of before, so I'll have to go look that up. So far with the Mark Douglas book, I'm feeling like he's gonna say a bunch of stuff that I know, but he's gonna be able to explain how we know that, I guess. But I feel like at the moment that there's an issue with the overall plan. We need to have a stricter plan, and the plan that I was using before doesn't work. So we need a new one. Alright, yeah, I have to look that up. Anyways, so on real estate. Oh, you can if you can send me the a link for the Ari Kiev book, I'll read that. Probably gonna read the finish reading the Douglas book today. Oh my gosh! So uh, just to vent here for a second. I got this cough, so I go to the doctor because I'm feeling like super tired and stuff, and I'm getting sick of it, and I'm like, it's getting worse. So I go down to the Instacare, and they like even took a X-ray of my lungs, and they said, no, there's nothing in your lungs. So you're probably just dealing with post-viral irritation. So I guess that all of the mucus and everything, your body can kind of get irritated by it, and that is something that can last like 8 weeks. So he prescribes me prednisone. And I don't know a whole lot about prednisone other than that they've recommended it for my ulcerative colitis before, but that I had never gotten that bad. And so I take the prednisone, and he said, probably try and take it in the morning. So I took it as early as I could. It was noon, but I took it. And I tell you what, by the time the late afternoon came, I was feeling pretty great. Now, one of the side effects is supposedly mood swings and an unrealistic sense of well-being. Bot says you look like shit, by the way. Glad you went to the doctor. Do I still look terrible? I probably do. So anyways, I took it at like noon, and by the evening I was feeling pretty good. So I was, didn't really have anything to do, and I thought about doing programming a couple of things, but then every time that I got into something, I kind of had like reasons that I didn't want to do it. Other than I fixed one of these indications we made with John yesterday, and then so I would go to read, and man, when I read, it makes me sleepy. It usually makes me sleepy. So I would like read until it'd make me sleepy, and then I would go and play a game of League of Legends, and I was switching off for those, right? Yes, and another side effect is bitchiness and tender boobs. Yeah, is that the case? Well, it's only a 5-day course of it, so, and it does appear to be making a difference because I was feeling sleepy when I was reading, but then when it was time for me to go to bed, I was not tired at all. I got in bed at like 11 o'clock. I don't think I slept until like 2 or 3. No joke. And then I kept waking up and everything. And it was hard for me. And my heart rate was a little elevated. I wonder. My heart rate is still a little elevated. Anyways. So I thought that maybe I would be like absolute shit today. But maybe I had enough sleep because I slept in the day before. So that might have had something to do with it too. Hopefully tonight it won't be as bad because I took the prednisone a lot earlier. Man. I don't know why. I don't even know how I got on that tangent, but jeez. Okay, so real estate. Oh, because we're talking about reading the book. Real estate. So here's my concern with real estate. It seems to me that real estate is considered this investment, like you invest in your house, and it's something that almost always tends to go up, and it's a really good investment. And I'm looking at it and I'm thinking, you know what? That doesn't make sense. Why should real estate always go up? And here's an article actually. Where's my article? Dun, 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 dun. No, where is it? Here it is. So there was this comment on Reddit. Let me read to you this comment on Reddit. I've been wanting to answer this more in depth for a while, and I've done a bit of digging for some information I want to share. A few of these numbers come from primary sources, but they seem trustworthy enough and seem to fit with my understanding of the world. Average new home prices in 1975 were $209K versus $270K. However, there's two key things to note in that. One, new construction in 1970 was vastly different today, and two, the lending and economic industry policy was vastly different. In 1971, just 18% of homes had an automatic dishwasher, 83% had a refrigerator, and 73% had a washing machine. In 1975, only half of homes built had air conditioning. And more importantly, the difference in size. Average size of new homes built in the United States grew 62% from 1,660 square feet in 1973 to 2,687 square feet in 2015, an increase of 1,027 square feet. So a house is about 7%, 50% more expensive, or that's 270, that's 35, but almost twice as big. So like houses today are worth more primarily because they're nicer houses, but then houses in general always. Oh, is today Martin Luther King Day, not President's Day? I'll have to fix that. The reason houses are way more expensive now is because they're nicer houses, which kind of contradicts many things that we're told about housing. But it seems to me that housing continues to go up because there's just not very much supply out there. And there's this issue especially in really big cities where nobody can get a house. And like this whole thing with like the homeless population and in San Francisco and all of those places, and they refuse to allow them to build new housing developments, and so the price is up. Gary said, "I bet your house costs $1 million for me in California." Yeah, probably more than that. My house was about 500 in Utah, in the suburb. So probably if this house was on the east side in Utah, it would probably be worth $1 million. So if it was in California, of course, there would probably be some things about the house that would probably be a little bit nicer, but overall square footage and layout and everything, yeah, could be worth much more than $1 million in California. Well, that's the square feet. I don't remember to be honest. It's excuse me. We built it finished. It's 3 levels. There's 4 bedrooms on the top level. So it's not huge or anything, but it fit our needs. And hopefully I never have to buy another house again. But yeah, I'm so I would like to get into real estate because I know that that's like a really great way to build money, right? Like I could get a duplex or a quadruplex if I can find one and can afford it. And uh, you know, have the renters basically pay the value of that. And that would be a really great way to put away some equity and make money. No question about it. But I can't help but wonder if another real estate crash is around the corner. Especially the people that will get hit will be those big cities. Because at some point, they're going to have to get rid of all those housing regulations. It's just not sustainable. It's artificially contracted supply in housing, especially on the lower end. The lower end, they're not allowing contractors to build the big housing units that they really need for the low end housing, and so it's raising the cost of renting for everybody. And yeah, there's going to be a crash from it at some point. I feel pretty confident in that. Um, Well, I guess there's always the case for a soft landing, but there's going to have to be a return back. There's going to have to be balancing in the market. So I'm a little wary about tying myself too big into real estate. But that's the thing again. I think that you want to have multiple income streams. So you have like some income coming from owning rental property and some income coming from a YouTube channel, and you're trading and you still have a day job, or your wife has a day job, and you have a bunch of different income streams and you can save it away. I think that's the way you go. Anyways, let's fix the title here.
Gary Rich says yes, it's in a bubble. The high end is selling, the single family are in sorta contraction.
Yeah, it's a problem, especially in those big cities.
Gary Rich says Seth, save that garlic coin and cash out for mansions in
Oh,
Utah.
totally.
Eric Cages
I'm
says,
really
income
starting to
coming from
wonder.
trading. Haha.
I'm really starting to wonder if well, the altcoins have been doing a lot better this run. That's the one in Bitcoin. That is the one really big difference that I see this time around, is that altcoins appear to be pumping too. Now, that said, they did come back off of this most recent high, so maybe it's done. I don't know. I still don't think that they have enough intrinsic value. I'm concerned that there's just not enough intrinsic value for them to hold the price. But I'm hoping that the garlic coin can get, do a little bit better. Hoping. Okay, so what was the next thing here? Oh yes, pivot points. Let's go find a pivot point indicator.
Air Cages says I'm a full-time shitcoin trader. How about dem apples?
Hey man, it works. Pretty sure that Fat Tail's got one somewhere. Filters, capitalism, momentum, moving averages, nested, session tools. I think it's session tools is somewhere in there. Caramella Day, TWAP, VWAP, blah, 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 blah. Hourly pivots. Pivots daily.
Kaka Silva says, do you know how those billionaires investors got there?
Oh, do I have to be a member to download that one? Boo.
Gary Rich says, I did mention I bought some Dash. Holy smoke, almost had a double.
Really? Some of them altcoins are going pretty good. Man, I would have a really hard time. Huge amounts in Bitcoin would be. Oh, I'm gonna sneeze. Let's see if there's one on futures.io.
Bots says yes, you have to be a paid subscriber.
Some of them you can get for free, but I guess not the pivot points one.
Air Cages says stocks and futures are for boomers.
You guys. I think it's going to be, if that was one, it'll be over in here. ABC floor pivots. Oh, those are multi-charts, trade station. Oh, trend line.
Bots says check PM in Discord.
You got one? Oh, there we go. John has it for me. Oh, you gave me the CS file, so. In custom indicators.
Gary Rich says the floor pivots kinda don't work much anymore.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking, but people have been mentioning it a lot, and I realize that that's what Alligator in chat is always using. So I thought I would grab that and put it on there somewhere. We could try. Well, let's not mess this chart up too much. So I'll just duplicate it. So let's use ZN on here.
Air Cages says, did you hear the story about the gold bug boomer who forgot the password to his Bitcoin wallet and now is trying to sue the blockchain?
Oh, what? Really? Wow. That's something else.
Gary Rich says he probably uses them as support or resistance levels or areas. Gary Rich says Peter Schiff?
Gary. That was hilarious. That guy, he's always going on about Bitcoin. And you know what I think about Peter Schiff? I think that he's only saying it for publicity. I really do. I don't think he really gives a crap about any of the stuff that he's always acting triggered about. I must need to
Air
like,
Cages says Peter Shift, yeah.
yeah. Oh, look, it did give me finally one. Look at that. On state change. I wish it would tell me which chart that was happening on. ZT does not. Oh, my spread candles. O2 20. Why would it be trying to do O2 20?
Gary Rich says he does have that company which exchanges crypto for gold. Bots says I think floor trader pivots are similar to Fibonacci levels. When enough people use them, they can cause a reaction when price gets close to them.
Yeah. Okay. Do I have a... okay, I don't. I mean, you might be right. I've seen a lot. I've seen people show me a lot of trades that seem to be based on the floor pivots stuff, but I'm starting to think that any of the key levels are questionable for getting real edge out of.
Gary Rich says it bots yes kinda like herd reactions.
Yeah. Because you end up with all these people playing this area.
Air Cages says blaming Bitcoin for forgetting your wallet password is such a boomer thing to do.
And you're really just, the outcome of it could just be random. Okay. So those are the pivots that it gives? Okay. Well, it goes into the pivots pretty well, starting from here until it breaks out of it.
Bots says they're like the mile markers on the highway. When you pass enough of them, you start looking for a place to stop for lunch or a bathroom break. The blue ones are. What's this one? I can't read that. It's blue. I don't even really care what it says. But that's enough for me to be like, oh, I could. Gary Rich says or a truck stop to get a tug and pull lol.
When what causes this bit right here?
Air Cages says are you holding your Garla coins in a cold wallet?
Yes. It's all in a cold wallet. Show mid pivots. Show pivot range. Is that must be what that is? Why did he choose midnight blue for the defaults? We're just gonna change this so that we can actually read it.
Bots says that's the continuation pivot and active pivot range.
Okay. PBCC CPDP R1 R2. So here's a good example. I went to R1, but not to R2. Ooh, it's hard to. Oh, here's the one where it bounced off of R2. Looks like that's R2 or S2, maybe S3. S2. Well, here if I come all the way over here, it'll tell me. Yep, bounced off of S1. Here on this
Gary
day.
Rich says hey buy a new cell phone with a wallet
Bounced
included.
off
Great
BP.
lose my phone bye crypto.
Nope, I have it in a cold wallet and I have all of the keys printed out on a piece of paper and stored in a safety deposit box. For Garlic coin, right?
Air Cages
It's
says they're
ridiculous,
saying it's
but-
better for the average person to hold crypto on an exchange because it's less likely they'll lose their seed phrase or password.
Nah, I'm not going to lose it. I am very cautious about it. But yeah.
Bots says you know it didn't actually bounce off of that line right.
Well, yeah, I'm not saying it works. I'm just saying you can find places where it seems like it does. So somebody was showing me the other day there was a trade and they were like, "Oh, it was just a bounce off of S1." Cool. But I don't know. So like the Futures Trader 71 way of doing things is there's key levels that he looks at and he has some probabilities about things that are going to happen in different areas and he
Gary
trades
Rich
them.
says put your second copy under the birdcage paper.
And
Bots says having said that there was enough demand there to stop the move to the downside.
yeah, and he uses volume profile and he has some pretty detailed statistics and knowledge about which way it's most likely to go.
Air Cages says Futurist Trader 71 is a scam.
Yeah, if you say so. But, and then he looks at the order flow in those areas. But when I try doing that and I'm just looking at pivots where I'm like, okay, so here are the levels that I'm looking at, all the levels. These are the ones that I think are likely to matter the most. And then try trading it off of that. It didn't work for me. It was, and maybe part of that was that it's too discretionary, but I'm really skeptical of the whole key levels thing. Like, so it was a key level from yesterday, or it's a pivot, or what makes it an important level today, other than that it's a key level that certain traders tend to use.
Says FT71 also has 1,300 lines on his charts, so it's tough to say his levels weren't right by the end of the day.
I mean, he goes through and he'll give. I mean, the thing that I'm impressed with Futures Trader 71. Well, first of all, he's definitely a really good person to go in and listen to if you're just starting out, because he's got the full picture for sure. And he's somebody that's definitely had some success in the past. I mean, like he funds other people and stuff. But he'll go through like his different scenarios for the day. And he'll usually have his like most likely scenario.
71 is a scam. Prove me wrong or lose all credibility.
You're just in a trolling mood today, aren't you, Air Cages? And almost always one of his three scenarios end up playing out. And he just kind of, now the problem in there comes into using the order flow to determine which of those scenarios is happening. Is not so cut and dry. So, yeah. A little skeptical about the key levels. But now that we've got that, right, what was the next thing on my list? All right, have a stochastics. We could try doing some backtesting on the candlestick chart patterns.
Gary Rich says levels might be referred as support and resistance areas, just like profile has key levels as well.
Yeah, although for him, his levels are almost always either a volume profile level, so like volume high, value high, value low, previous day high low, and opens. There's one level that I am absolutely convinced matters, and that is the open, especially the extended session open. That matters. Every other level I'm deeply skeptical about. But I digress. Did we have... Oh, hey, I remember what it was now. Hey, John, didn't we find a spot where our price pivots indicator was broken? Like it didn't identify something as a price pivot when it should have? I'm looking at my camera here, and it's bothered me. I need to fix it. Hopefully I can do it here without screwing things up too bad.
Bots says his biggest accomplishment is how he screwed over the guys at stage 5 when he left and started convergent trading.
That's a little bit better. Did he really? How did him leaving and starting convergent trading screw over stage 5? You've caught my attention. You've caught my interest. That's a little better. And you know what else I could probably do?
Air Cages says scammer McScam scam. Bots says if you have to ask that question you've clearly never had a business partner. Gary Rich says man cowboy got his face bashed, the other fights were better. Connor has to fight Khabib, Ferguson or Masvidal next, yikes.
That's a little bit too dark.
Air Cages says I made a bunch of money betting on McGregor, crazy fight. Gary Rich says nice.
Hold on. You
Gary
have to
Rich
ask that
says who do you
question.
think wins the Super Bowl?
You've never had a business partner? Well, I don't. I didn't think that starting Convergent had any effect on Stage 5. I thought that he still worked for Stage 5 and was doing all this stuff with them and everything. So if he left Stage 5, then who's managing the risk there now? Well, that looks like that might be a little dark.
Bot says if you want to see an error on the price pivots indicator, open a new 5-minute chart and scroll back to Friday during the day session 11:20 and 13:05 on your time frame.
Okay. 11:20.
Air Cages says Super Bowl? No idea.
On a 5-minute chart. On what? On ZB?
Bot says no, he's gone and now disavows any association with them.
Really? Well, that kind of sucks. So is Stage 5 still a good place to go?
Bot
Or?
says S.
I think I should just open up a new chart for this one. New chart. I'm guessing ZB that you're talking about it. This is oh, you're yes, okay.
Bot says 5-minute S chart.
Yes. 5 minutes. Yeah. There.
Air Cages says sounds like a scam to me.
Cages. This is so trolly today. Mike. That looks a little bit better. I don't know if it's completely in focus. Let's I'm just here really quick. I'm going to do this.
Gary Rich says I like SF. KC was the team who caused Jimmy G his season-ending injury in 2018. San Fran has awesome defense. Plus Andy Reid can't win the big one. Bots says Beggies man sit still, you're making me dizzy.
Sorry. There we go. That's as focused as I can make it. All right. So, price pivots. You want to see lots of lines there, Cages. Wait till you get this. Oh,
Gary
man.
Rich says yes, Seth, we know you are good looking. We get it.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. Apparently not everybody thinks that, but I'm okay with the way that I look. You know, listen, the big eyes, I know it's a weird thing. But their big eyes are useful. Trust me. And they love it on the girls. The girls in my family are always popular. All right, so
Bot says you're still using the old version there, Seth Munster.
I am? Oh, did you send me a new version? No. I'm using the version that I sent you last night. What did you change? What did I do wrong? All right.
Bot says look again.
Okay. I got it. Replace. Oh, what did you change? Okay, cool. Dun. Oh, okay, cool. Oh, you got rid of a bunch of stuff. That's good. Oh, you commented out everything that we weren't actively using too. Okay, cool.
Bots says correct. Gary Rich says at Bots, have you used John Carter's squeeze indicator?
And added default colors and sizes. Oh, you know what? I probably need to just like here indicators. Let's just remove. John Carter's squeeze indicator.
Bot says I'm not very musical at Gary Rich.
Okay. All right. So you said Friday, which
Gary
was
Rich
the
says lol.
17th. 17th between 11:20 and 13:05. 11:20. That must be your time. So 13:20 probably. Oh, should there be a high pivot high right there? Is that what's wrong? 33:24.50?
Bot says musical note. MoMA's got a squeeze box musical note.
And there should be one right there too, right? No, I think in this case there would have been one there and there, but it moved the dot, right?
Bot says see the three beside each other with no line.
Oh. Oh, you're right. Oh, that's
Bot
incredibly
says under the
odd.
one above that has a line.
This right here at 33, 26, 25.
Gary Rich says it's called TTM squeeze. I think it's still on Futures IO site.
Hmm. That is interesting. So let's try walking through the code at that spot. We might have to try and debug it
Bot
to see
says
what's
yes,
really
Gary.
happening.
I have watched it before. I found it was always a little late.
It's always a little late. That sucks. Okay. So we had a pivot low, confirmed pivot low here at this point, essentially. So confirmed
Bot says
pivot
that's
low.
the best example I could find, Seth.
No, it's great. It's great, John. 1. So the direction is 1. So then we're going to come down in here. Direction is 1. And the high.
Air Cages says so who paid $100 to Big DCK Mike from Futures IO?
Huh. I own the Futures IO membership. It's totally worth it. I mean, I have some problems with Futures IO. Mostly just that the main draw to his website is his library of indicators that people have put on there, and he started making it so that you can't download any indicators unless you're a member. And we're all putting those all up there for free, so we're basically giving him money, which is not cool. But it's still a good website, and the value that you get out of paying the membership fee to get the webinars and everything else is very much worth it. Probably the best value out there, because like just the promotional deals that they get with their
you can smooth
partners.
the signal out by adjusting the settings, or as it's intended the delay is good for a next signal to confirm.
This is going to be hard. 11:20.
Air Cages says Seth is mad cause they didn't award him with the lifetime NinjaTrader license.
That's right, he remembers. This is what we're gonna do. I'm gonna add a little
Bot
something.
says yes, no arguments at Gary Rich. I have tried it, but worked out some on my own that I like better. Sure takes it a long time to calculate everything. Oh, I should have turned on debug mode. Oh, you know what? I know why it's doing it. Gary Rich says Seth, how good are you in C#, Excel VB, and Python?
I'm pretty good in C#. I would rank my knowledge as advanced in C#. Excel VB I've never really used, and in Python it's moderate. So John, I think that the reason that one doesn't get marked is because 2688. the
Bot says his
low
wife
has
says
to be
it's no
less
Python.
than. Has to be less than. So see, if we go in here, I think that we can debug this. Now that I know which part is.
Air Cages says, are you a self-taught programmer?
No. I went to school. I mean, I had taught myself a lot of programming before I went to school. I started programming TI 86 calculators is how I started. And I knew basics from that. But all this stuff about data structures and stuff, I don't know if I ever would have learned that stuff on my own. Oh, we need to recompile it. Okay.
Bot says, I like how you display the bar numbers on that chart.
Yeah. So I'm thinking that what I should be able to do.
Gary Rich says, I would like someone to code up Tom DeMark's indicators in those languages. I'll pay you.
And the DeMark indicators?
Bot says, handy information for debugging.
Yeah. I think somebody gave me one of those, actually. I don't think I have it anymore, but I'm pretty sure that there's one floating around there. Do you know, John? I know that you can't just like go out there and download it because they are so aggressive at taking it down.
Maybe add it as a bool so you can choose to display it.
I mean, for now, it's just debugging information. We can get rid of it later, but I can come in here and I can set a fun little breakpoint. So if I go to price pivots.
Jerry is awake says, right now working on time stop for script self-learning myself.
Time stop. What do you mean by that? I think we could probably do the DeMark. I probably shouldn't do that on stream though. So the guy that introduced DeMark indicators and the way that this works is like based on when you get a local high or low or whatever, there's like numbers and certain things happen on like number 9
Bot
and 13.
says, which DeMark indicators are you talking about at Gary Rich?
And these
M says TOS has one DeMark indicator built in.
Yep, Thinkorswim has one of them. You're right, M.
M says sequence counter.
Which is the one
Gary
that you
Rich
want,
says
right?
the DeMarks in Ninja ISNT or seems correct based on his rules. I looked at the Ninja code and it didn't look right.
Wait, is there one built in? I don't think there's one built in. You'd have to send me the one that we have. Send me the one that you have, and then we could try and debug it. But anyways, Tom DeMark, he has like a patent on it. So anybody that tries to make an indicator for it gets takedown notices. So that's why you can't find it out there. You basically would have to write it yourself.
Gary Rich says, yes, the TOS 1 ISNT, that great. I have it.
Gotcha. Okay, so anyways, we're going to come in here and right here, I can set a breakpoint and I can make it conditions. And I can say conditional expression is true. Current bar equals, and then what was the one that we want to look at? 2688 equals 2688. Okay. So now if I go and I attach the debugger.
Air Cages says, how come you don't use that indicator? Gary Rich says Bloomberg offers them but they $1,500 per month. Yikes or hum.
Yeah, it's just pretty crazy. It's pretty crazy. But it's just like everything else. So I remember at Goldman when I when I worked for Goldman Sachs, there was a guy that he was not he worked in the derivatives department, but he was not like an analyst or anything like that. It was just a guy in the firm that liked to do the technical analysis and send out a email every day. And so it was followed. I don't know if the traders looked at it or not, but it was followed by people. I mean, I read it, and he loved to look at the DeMark indicators. I think at some point he kind of stopped looking at them, but he would always use the DeMarks, and he would point out, oh, today is a DeMark 13 or whatever the deal is. But I'm going to guess that if you went and you back tested the DeMark,
M says they are available for free on Forex Factory.
That's the Thinkorswim one, or is the Thinkorswim one is built in, right? If you have a NinjaTrader one, you could maybe post this a link in Discord or something. maybe PM it to me, and I'll look and see if it works. Okay, so I should be able to refresh here and get it to break. Hopefully, fingers crossed. Fingers crossed.
Bot says anything that will encourage traders to make entries will always be available for free on Forex. Gary Rich says on higher time frames the sequential countdown is great, for shorter time frames it's not so good.
Oh, okay. Yeah, he always used it on higher time frames. Like if it was a 13 on ES, it was like he definitely would point that one out. And I remember there was once or twice when it like it did something and I was like, "Whoa, holy crap, how did he do that?" Okay, so that should have broken and it didn't. I'm just going to go all out.
Bot says how many days back do you have on that 5-minute chart you're working on it, Seth?
Just 15.
Gary Rich says, oh, don't get me started on my journey on MT4, 5 and that indicator journey.
I mean, so again with the mark, and this goes with price levels too. Anything that is based purely on price, I'm very skeptical about.
Eric Cages says sounds like an amazing indicator if Goldman Sachs using it.
Well, but like I said, it was like one guy.
Bot says was curious what was making it so slow to load.
Oh, that might do it. Let's fix that. You're saying we really only need like 5 days. If that. Treasury going higher here.
Eric Cages says was his name Tone?
That actually kind of sounds familiar.
Bot says right, 5 days should be fine.
But like I said, I don't think he was trading or he wasn't an analyst or anything like that. He just happened to be a guy that worked in the derivatives department that liked to put out an email. Now there was another guy that was kind of more of a manager guy, and he would put out a weekly note that was followed by the traders, and that was good shit. Holy crap, that was good stuff. And none of it was technical analysis. It was all fundamental analysis, but he would show some technical analysis with, or rather, he would show charts of fundamentals of sorts. Like they would make up those crazy charts that sometimes you see on.
Last couple months run in S has fired off multiple DeMark sell signals, all wrong.
Oh, that's interesting. And so he would go in and he would say, okay, here is like this valuation level, or here's these sorts of things, and he was really good because he just got a really good idea of like what was the key issues in the market and the key drivers of supply and demand in different markets.
Rich
and it was
do you
great.
Remember his name, Seth?
I don't remember his name. He worked in Texas. That was the other thing. He wasn't like he wasn't in New York, right? He wasn't in New York or Chicago. So I'm just saying, like, I could have started my own distribution list and started putting stuff out like that, and it would have been the same thing, right? Let's just see if I can get it to break by just putting that point right there. Okay. That works. Okay. So
Gary Rich says them Goldman boys are very bright.
Yeah. Well, I tell you what, it was always really intelligent people there.
Bots says like here.
Okay. It probably should be breaking here now, but sometimes when you put in a condition like that, it takes it longer. It did not. Oh, that's really odd. Conditional expression is true. Current bar equals 776. It breaks without the condition.
Gary Rich says I am laughing my butt off. When Dodd-Frank bill forced the prop desk out of the banks, they just moved across the street. Hilarious.
Wow. Yeah, but it wasn't a good thing for the banks. Not that they were. I don't think that they're really all that they really miss that income all that much. I mean, they make income from so many other different ways, but I think that from a personnel and strategy
Dave A
perspective,
says someone posted a
off.
link to some paid Discord server in hash interest dash rates a minute ago. Oh, and good morning. Not just here to snitch.
No, you're good. I am so sick. I am so sick of the spam. No tolerance, dude. So tired of it. I was getting, because we were talking earlier about Gary was selling some material, and there was people, apparently Gary sent me an email, said that people were saying on Discord that you could like cancel it after 5 days, which is not true, and basically get it for free. Not true, but like basically trying to scam the system and telling people this. Like they're going to go and they're going to spend $1,000 on it and not be able to get their money back out. And I get these people that are just advertising other Discords every day. It's like, it's starting to become like a full-time thing now to watch a Discord and ban people. And I literally zero tolerance.
Says just got deleted.
Yep, I just deleted it. If they send out spam invites, I ban them.
Mods must have
immediately. Immediately. This guy right here. So there's people keep messaging me to give them a job, like that they want me to pay them to spam the Discord and other places. Why would I do that? Why would I do that? Is this person let me find this person. O2Q. Oh, what's the name? OTQZF2? OTQ. 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 Oh, band. We're soliciting. Dun, 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 dun. Okay. So I don't know why the Visual Studio breakpoint is not working. But we can do this. If current bar equals 776, print high. Oh, can I save? Okay. And I can put breakpoint right there. Let's try that. Haha. Okay. So let's see what's going on here. So I think we need to know watch. We need add watch. Close of 1. Low of 2. High of 2. Add watch. And direction. Add watch. These are all things that seem to matter. Okay. So, the close, 33, 25, 25, is not less than the low, which is correct. Okay. If the close is greater than the high of 2, so the high is 33, 24, 25, and the close is 33, 25, 25, and the direction is negative 1. So,
connection lost.
And that's okay. That one should resolve to true. Yes, it does. Okay. So that's correct. So we're right here. So now the next one, it has to be that it closes below the previous bar's low, right? Am I right? So we need to come here. Next bar, 77. It will not confirm a pivot low, right?
Bot says right.
Right.
Gary Rich says okay, need to find the Manchurian candidate or mole in Darum. Snitches equals stitches or lose lip sync ships. Prison rules. Lol.
78. Okay. So now on 78, the low of this is lower than the close of this is lower than the low of this. Close of this, close of 1, 33, 26, 25. That's not right. I expect it to be like 33, 24. Close of 1. 776. So that's not going to trigger. That's not going to trigger. Seven 778. It's bar 778. Why is that not? 778. 778. Close, it says, is 33.26.25. Well, that is weird. Oh, maybe it's because... No, even then, that's still weird. What is the low of 2? 33.25? It's saying in that bar. Huh.
Connection lost.
Now the close says 33.24.5. That's right. That's okay. And again, 33.20. 425, 33, 24.5. And direction is a 1. Oh. Oh, wait. So this should be confirmed pivot high. It is. At 780. So where is it drawing this ray at? $33, $26, $25.
Bot says 780 is the bar that the pivot high was confirmed on?
Yes. That must be why. It's saying that it confirmed pivot high right there. But see, there's another bar that is 780. See?
Bot says so now the indicator has to look back to the pivot high on bar 776.
Right. But see, it doesn't put it's I know what's wrong. We're gonna do it like that. Pivot low time dot to string. Do we do raise anywhere else?
Bot says is this where we need a counter to figure out how far back to look for the pivot high?
Nah, I don't think that we need to go that. We need to do that. I think that it moved the ray. Da, 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 da. Start Uncle. Da, 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 da. Fix it. That was a dumb bug, wasn't it? That took way too much work to fix something so trivial and dumb. Oh, man. Can you believe? Can you believe that that's what it was, John?
Bot says sweet.
Oh my gosh. Okay, so this little debug message that we put in here, let's go and get rid of that. I mean, we could make it so that it shows it, but I really don't want to. Where do we do it? No, that's weird. Oh, here it is right here. And this bit right here. Build it with debug mode off. There we go. Okay, here I'll give you the version of it. Where is it? Rice. Oh, it's not an ad. Rice pivots. There you go. So for those of you guys that missed what was going on there, there's kind of this weird thing where, like, let's say I make a line somewhere, and I don't have any way to reference it. Oops. I should send it to you directly here. Hold on. Where is it? Okay, so anyways, I'll move this over here and make it like super big for you guys too. Okay. So here we got this, like, I'm drawing an array, and you put
Bot
in
says
pass
thanks,
into
Gandalf.
it. Yeah, no problem. You pass into it the indicator that's drawing the object, and then you have to give the object a name. And what you do with this name is say I wanted to do something to the line later, like modify it later, and I don't want to have to store a reference to it. I can give it a unique name, and if I draw a ray and I draw another ray and I use this same value in this tag part right here, then it will modify that line. So what was happening was, because I was using current bar, it found a place where it was finding a pivot low on line 780, but that was also the line where the previous pivot low was confirmed. And so those two lines were using the same tag. And so it was drawing the line, but then later on it was moving it. So what I did was I just changed it so that the array's name was based on the time that it's coming off of, and that should be unique and only ever happen once. Something else you could do is like just paste a GUID or something in there. I really don't like using the tag, but you have to use it. And there are some instances where it's useful. So that's what the bug was. Boom, 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 boom. All right, what else do we have? I'm a little surprised. I mean, the E-mini is like super. I mean, it's only moved like 5 ticks, but then the interest rates moved up 5 ticks, which is very curious. And by the way, look at
Bot
it.
says awesome, that works much better.
Oh, I'm glad, John. I think it's a really cool indicator. I'm be interested. I mean, I'd be interested to see what else comes out of that thing. I like it because it's so complicated to make it work. Like, it took a lot of work, and it looks nice. So here, you look at the day up through here. It was pretty
Gary
flat.
Rich says, what does your indicator tell or show you?
And then pulling on the offer. So this one's the offer and this is the bid. So pulling on the offer, and look, overall 822 pulls on the offer versus net 127 pulls on the bid. So the path of least resistance was up, and they moved up. So that's what it tells us. Now I'm wondering, so it was interesting in here, the number of stacks and pulls net in the bid was a little choppy down there. You see that? I'm wondering if that tells us something too. Well, it's going to take some more time to look at it and see if we can find an actionable signal in it. But so far, it does appear to be useful information. I think we need to, at a later time, perhaps, we need to create another histogram that is not number of changes, but total volume. Because I think what you're going to find is that the total volume doesn't change. I think that what happens is they stack a big, and then they pull it off a little bit. Like they'll add an order of 5 lots, and then they'll cancel them 1 lot at a time.
Bot says, who were you asking that question of at Gary Rich?
Talking about the Manchurian candidate? What? Oh man, my nose is really like, I might need to go and just like blow my nose here in a bit. So what else do we got? There was another indicator that we had a problem with, didn't we, John? What were we working on before that? I don't remember now. I feel like we had this big long list. Let me just scroll up here. These pivots. Oh no, I mean we're working on the price pivots, but assuming that that's in a good spot for now, because we fixed the bug and you're still changing the defaults and stuff. What were we working on before that? Which Whichever one he was looking at with the bug. Oh, what does your indicator show or tell you? Okay, that. So this, the way it works is when you have a high, which is the highest level since the last confirmed pivot, it will draw a little arrow. And then it's not a confirmed pivot until you have a bar close below the low of the previous bar. Okay. So if we zoom in here, let's come over to this. This is a little bit better of an example. So like here we moved up and it's okay. There will be a little arrow there, but until we have a close below the low of the previous bar. So here's the previous bars here, and then it closed below that bar, that low, below that low. Then you have a confirmed pivot and it draws that line. All right. So it'll draw these lines, and then at some point, sometimes the pivot can be broken, and then that's where you get that sort of a thing. Okay. So one thing that it tells you is like, let's say that you're long. How do you know that that strong trend is definitely over? Well, once you get that price confirmed, then you definitely know that it's over. Of course, it's already too late, but it sounds to me like John kind of uses it as a kind of like a guide. Like you use this for a really long time, and then when he didn't have it anymore, he said he felt a little bit lost. So here you can see in this one, it went through that pivot, came down to that pivot, and then it reversed. It can be useful because it's basically when you think about it, every one of those lines is going to be a critical level, right? So once we get below that line, everybody from the beginning of the session, essentially the extended range session, will be stopped out. Anybody that was going long. So that's important. So that's kind of how you use it. I don't know if there's entries or anything based on it. One of the things that John was saying to me earlier was, what if you, for your expanding range, draw the pivots from this. So you go from like here to here, or from here to here, or something like that. I think that we'd need to go through and do a little bit more research on that, but that might give you an idea of where we're likely to go when they're going to stop everybody out. Ooh, excuse me. We're trying to develop an indicator that showed valid entries based on the quant setup ideas. You're right. Ugh. I don't really want to do that, but let's do it. Well, it might be time to... don't save that. Might be time to just quit. Yes, I can see a way to trade those ranges. Yeah, okay. That's what we're getting at when in our little poll where I said time frame confirmation and bar signals. Basically, what we're talking about is, are you positive or negative on the hour, day, week, and month? And then based on whether or not those confirm or not, there are different candlestick patterns that you can take that have supposed to have probability of happening. But with the data that we have, I don't have the probabilities on those setups, and I tried trading them for a little bit, and I had trouble with that. So yeah, take that 5-minute chart full screen. Sure. You better not be pointing out another error that is in it. That'll suck if it is. Yeah. Is that good enough, or do you want it bigger than that? Maybe I'd just make it so you can see a full day. Wider. Holy crap, see the trends in that? So you can definitely see the uptrends in it. Can't you? This move right here was a little like crazy. In fact, I think that I think sometime this week that they're going to come back to 3306. Would not be surprised. No wider. Go to current time. Sure. He says wider. Still wider? Wait, which specific time do we want to look at? Come on, wider and look at now. How big you want it like that? Perfect. Why is this so slow? I don't know. Or it should only be like 5 seconds delayed or something like that. But sometimes it can be more, and I think it increases the longer we go. Had a decent amount of skip frames today too. Draw an extended line back from right to left from the highest pivot high to the prior pivot high. So from here to here. There you can see the upward trend, consolidate, accumulate, then distribution or continuation up or down of the trends. Yeah. Because when you see the lines, you can kind of see where they're fighting it out. So I'm starting to think that here, I'm waiting for John to say something. Maybe I'll go into that in a bit. No, I will say. So like on the right, no, the prior pivot high was slightly lower. So do you mean from not F8, F4. From here to here? And then from here to here? And no, where you already were to the one that was to the left, but lower. Okay. I know this is like really frustrating for him. Okay. This one? The one that's at like 5:55 your time? Bar and price. like that. $10 back. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Oh, okay. Durr. Okay. And then I guess, great, like that. Now draw on left to right from the lowest pivot right. That's it. That does look like an expanding formation. The broadening formation is what you're trying to illustrate. Yes. With the assumption being that if we were to start seeing a move, that, right now, that we would move up to around 33.25 or something like that. If there was actually, enough volatility to make stuff happen. I was wondering if we should, Dave, another Discord invite. Thank you. No, you're great, Dave. What is the same deal? Band. Now the idea is to be watching for those quote-unquote signals they mentioned at or near one of those lines you've drawn. You mean like the reversal ones? Like the hammer and shooting star reversals? You guys are making the chart harder to see and trade based on those angles. Yeah, I don't necessarily disagree with you, Jerry. You should see some of the charts that he's shown me trying to draw these expanding formations, because you'll do it at a spot and then you'll do it again. And you might have expanding triangles on different time frames, and it just becomes really messy. Probably we should make those lines like dotted or something, but with the expectation that the price will likely go across the range of that broadening formation, similar to the way market profile peeps talk about price crossing the value area. Right. So the issue with this one is that the current broadening formation, it can't be between the two most recent ones, right? It seems like you have to go back and you have to find between two that are two pivot lows where this pivot low is less than this one. Oh, jeez. I have such a freaking irritated nose at the moment. Reread your book on technical analysis. Well, it's not supposed to be a trend line, Gary. It's not like one of these lines where you say, here's this high and here's this high, and everything should stay underneath of these lines. And so if we were going to have a move up, they would come up to this and bounce off of this trend line. It's not like that. Instead, what we're trying to do is we're trying to, based off of outside bar areas, trying to determine where when there's expansion, which general way it's going, so that it's basically trying to predict when there's stop outs how far it's going to bounce the other direction. I was only trying to get you to plot them close to the current time to save having to count 300 bars to tell you. Right. Well, I was talking about if we're going to try and draw them automated, what's the conditions to draw them automated? Because otherwise it's still a discretionary thing. Now the bid is pulling, so maybe the 10-year is going to come back a bit. It can be, if you really know how to trade a range with horizontal lines, I can trade that chart. It's easy. I don't know. The question is still like, what's your signal, right? So John is saying you draw these lines, and then we would want to see it come back. I'll draw it for you. So say that we're going to go down again. You're going to have something like this. And then when it comes down here, you would want to see something like this. A hammer. So like a candle with a really long tail and an open and close pretty close to where they started at. And then like that. So then you should be able to take this along, and it should hopefully cross the other side of the range. This is, I guess, what he's saying. If you know what retracements up or down of the previous series of candles or bars are, it can be done. One has to be taught this stuff. Okay. Well, you just have to go through. My thing is still just as long as you can give me a system that's like regimented. Like if both you and I both look at it, we should get the same result. Is the end goal. The end goal, you're trading the strategy, you would both end up taking the same trade. And the discretion comes in what kind of a market is it, which setups do you look for. But like, to me, if a specific setup should be like two people looking at it should usually get the same answer. Maybe that's too specific, but maybe there'd be problems with the setup that's that specific. But right now, that's kind of the goal, just because I feel like that otherwise the emotions get the best of me and I just want to hold everything forever. Now, similarly, I know when I take this that my risk is down here, right? That's my stop. That's my stop. So it's a really high risk reward trade. Man, I'm just going to try blowing my nose here. That's much better. The question is still... oh, sorry, you guys are saying stuff and I'm not seeing it. Oh, no, never mind. The main reason for the angled line is to illustrate the broadening or compression formations. Yes. So, my question would be, what if you just always move it to the two most recent ones? You know? Since those two are equal, we'll do it off of that one. Then based on current run, if we saw a then I would want to try and get this. The angles are so wide, one is going to wait forever to take a trade. Well, yeah. I mean, the thing is when we've been doing this, John has shown me some lines based off of, you find an outside candle, and then you set it up based off of that. I can't really see a good spot to necessarily do it. But, and then the move ended up following that line quite well. Right. Horizontal lines are only there to reference the price pivots under the assumption that there had to be enough price volume volatility to create a new price pivot. Well, see, and now, so I've been wondering, one of the thoughts that I had last night, since, I was up all night and had plenty of time to think about many, many different things, is would it be useful to show cumulative delta differences at each of those spots? Because, just when you get a confirmed pivot, just spit out what the cumulative delta was and what the difference was from the last cumulative delta. To say this move was a delta of X and this move was a delta of X, to see if, there was enough volume to be making it happen. Yeah, Gary, it's very hard to describe this text from what I say. Only 200 letters, I can say. Yeah, I'm not. I hear you, Gary. Tell you, well, you can always message me in Discord, but you can also, because you were saying you could write something, you were going to write something up that we could follow. Send it there. Bot says, sure, it would be an interesting statistic to look at. Because I was trying to think about it, like, from the perspective of who got stopped out, sort of a thing, how can we determine open interest? Okay, somebody bought and sold. Like, let's just assume that down here there was a trade. There was one volume went through, so somebody went long and somebody went short. Okay, so these are the shorts and these are the longs. Okay. And then there was 2 volume up here. Now, is this 2 volume? Is it 2 new people? Or was it 1 new person and one of these guys getting out? So the cumulative delta, in effect, is the best case scenario. Best case scenario meaning it's completely new people. I could walk you through on what I see from that chart, but that requires a call. The nuances are many. I really want something that's... you get the point. Anyways. So, what is the worst case scenario? Well, like, let's say here there was 1 and 1. And then there was 2 and 2. Move it back up. Basically, when the cumulative delta gets up to here, let me rephrase. Let's say this is 100. This is negative 100. This is 200. That means that there was twice as much buying on this move as there was on this move. I'm just very happy to have my price pivots working again. No problem. Anyways, so you can know then at that point, okay, so then if we move down back below this price again, it's very likely that they're going to come below that because there's more people. Okay. Do you see how it sold off, then double bottomed, then broke the high of the double bottom range? So you're talking about, here's the move down, double bottom, range, then it broke it right here. When I would expect if they moved up to go to right there, but I guess when you read this one, it seems to me like this right here, I can see, okay, consolidating range, and then consolidating range. And this is an expanding area. So here's the expansion. I remember back when Remus and I first completed them on NinjaTrader 7, we looked at the chart and could see why price stopped somewhere on the chart that you could not see without those pivot lines. Okay. Anyways, so when I see a consolidating triangle like this, that's probability up. When I see a more balanced one like this, it's uncertain, but probability is to go with the trend, I think, slightly. Here again, this one likely to go down. But I guess the bigger thing here is that when you get tons of lines like this, you're in a consolidating area. So they're battling it out in here. And then at some point, there's going to be a trend. How to predict this? How to predict this is what you want, right? So what ends up happening is I'll be sitting up there and I'll be like, okay, here it is. We go long here, and then, nope, sorry, still doing it. Here I do it again. Oh yeah, we're going. Nope, sorry. And so then I give up at this point, and then they go. That's usually what happens. Oh, you can't see all of that. Hold on. Basic. There. So can you see that? Here, we'll move it over here. So you can still see my goofy face. So the pattern was this. So your expectation is it'll move higher. So what I'll do is I'll say, okay, I'll buy here, here, here. And then after it's done it like 5 times, I'll like give up on it. I might even try going short right in here. And then when I finally give up, then they go. So on this one, it's a question of how do you know that that's the one that it breaks out on? So then we can do stuff like Let's try looking at it with the cumulative delta. Bid ask. Okay. Now that we have cumulative delta, oh, and time, of course, tells us a little bit of a different story, doesn't it? This is actually an open. We could see they sold it in this area. So they were selling it. And then it trailed off. And now here at this point, right there, you know that it's going to go up. The thing about those areas where you get a number of the pivot low lines forming is that it gives you a clear picture of where your risk is if the move does not develop. Oh yeah, so like if we were up here and this failed, you know that you're coming back to here, right? The TTM squeeze indicator represents balance when the Keltner channel is inside the Bollinger Band, which was what it was developed off of. Ugh, this. Yes, many times you want 3 time frames to align before a trade, but one can scalp within 5 minutes, 15 of a 60-minute range. Depends on your preferred time frame. Okay. Well, interestingly enough on this move, this one was kind of weird because this is the open, of course, right here. 7:30 is the open. But look, it didn't move until almost like past lunch, like the last 30 minutes of the regular session. Isn't that curious? So I had no way. I remember this, and I picking this one for a reason because I remember this day, and I remember thinking, man, they waited all day and then they did it at the close. But I guess day traders went short and had to close. Oh yeah, sorry. You have to hide your face again. You know, they didn't really begin to move until here. And here is the open. So I was really surprised that it took that long, but again, you had these guys that went short that had to exit. This is probably a good example of that trade that I was talking about, John, where you can look at the cumulative delta for the session and expect it to come back a little bit on the close in certain situations where if it's rangy enough, and you suspect that the majority of the volume that has been traded is short-term traders, then you can expect it to move up when all the short-term traders close their shorts. Notice they were putting in higher pivot lows there all day. Oh, yeah. Well, there was this one. Here. This one was slightly lower. Iowa Tech. This one was slightly lower. But then after that, this one. There's 2. Only one from the day session, though, you're right. Probably is a good indication. Now that we are at new index highs, you don't have to go too far back on your large time frame. Yeah. Well, 5 days that I'm showing, it shows you what's going on pretty good. And you can definitely pick out, the ones that I look at, I always look at this like that. And then I probably would pick these. Now it's very clear. What's happening? We're trending up. That's what I mean by how they clearly delineate your risk. Sure. Or I mean, is it not make a good targets? Like, I think that tomorrow or maybe Wednesday, depending on what's going on with impeachment, let's say that we come around and we're doing this. But then if we break through this area, then we're probably going to come back into this consolidation area. Right? So then let's go back. That was the next thing that we should put on here is the volume profile. Order flow volume profile. Where is it? Profile period sessions. Okay. Problem when we make all-time highs is it's hard to predict where the top is at, possibly. Yeah. I mean, this is all like a very, very, what is the word? Very speculative scenario, right? Me saying that they'll come down and then they're going to cross this gap. It's definitely hard to pick top sats. Sure, yeah. Well, I'm wondering, I think we'd have to go way far back. Anyways, can you see how in volume profile it shows you the same thing though? Here's the profile. Here's this untouched point of control. It will be a magnet. Notice here, by the way, here's previous day point of control. That was kind of a magnet. I find that that's a common move, but knowing when it's going to come up to it is difficult, right? So if it's like, if we started out today right here, is this yes? Yeah, this is yes. Okay. So let's just say for the sake of argument that we traded the European session and we came out here. Okay. And I want to see a move to this point of control here. At what point do I go long? I don't know. That's always been the problem with that one. It seems like there's actually like a 60% probability of touching the previous day's point of control, but making a trade that's all in one of it going there is easier said than done. It seems like such a simple thing, but what's your signal? You know? What do you do when it's coming up and then it turned around and it came short or something like that, you know? Smashabed says, I think you would benefit from a more objective-based report. It would curb your spontaneity, pad spots. I agree, Smashabed. Well, so you probably missed some of the earlier stuff, but let me show you the stuff that we're looking at. Well, I think Gary is going to send me something. I'll give you guys the email again. If you have something that you want me to look at, you can email me. And if you guys have like a really well regimented plan, I'm 100% willing to try it out. Test it for 2 weeks and see how I perform. You can wait until you see that higher low from the T left of just where you drew that slash. I don't know. In retrospect, we can say that he's saying this right here is your entry signal, but what would have happened if it did that and then it went up there, you know, or I don't know. I always find a way to screw me over somehow. But anyways, so the one that we're looking at right now is a continuation trade. So I have a bunch of moving averages on this chart, and I guess the trade, we come back here to Friday. The trade here is that you need to see them all below each other. The price needs to be below all of the moving averages, and the volume profile, the point of control, needs to be lower and lower. And the adaptive the CCI needs to be decreasing. So for instance, here, you could potentially take one in this trade, but that's going into the news. And then here, the CCI is not decreasing, but here you could take it on any of these bars. And it's a very, very small, quick trade. So that's pretty strict, I think. And then I would have to still be cognizant of certain levels, like where we are compared to previous day, high, low, etc. Now for your entry signal, that's your risk level. If price violates that second higher pivot, you know your trade isn't working. Oh, sure. You could, well, yeah. I mean, that's normally the way that I do it, is I'll get long there, and then they'll just come and do that. I don't know. It seems like that the percentage on that isn't very high. Like if I was able to hold it all day, yeah. Let me rephrase this. If I go long here, the percent that I actually get this move and I'm able to hold on to it, and in this case you would have, but I would say is less than 30%. Less than 30%. Because there's just likely to be too much noise, and it's likely to just do this and stop me out before it gets there. Because that's too, well, in this case it's only 8 ticks. So, but on a normal day, you'd be very unlikely to get that, you know. When I take it, I tend to get stopped out on them. What if you add an ATR of X candles ago? This way you know what the range is currently of previous candles. When ATR drops, it means not to go for a trade. Okay. So should we put the ATR, should I put it on this chart, or you put it on the E-mini chart that we're talking about here? Let's put my ATR on this chart right here. So it's like, I find the E-mini one is really interesting. So I have an ATR tick that I really like. And we all know you can't hold a trade longer than 14 seconds regardless. Yeah. I mean, look, I can put it in and put the stop in there, but like the chances of the stop getting hit is pretty high. Let's see what the ATR tick says. Okay. So right now we're getting an average true range down in here of about 4 ticks. So if I take it, let's just say that I get a bad price at 32.20, my stop would be at 33.18, which would be down here. But when you look at the average range of the E-mini, like if we go further back where it's like 8, for instance, which is normal. What are the settings of the ATR? It is, so the number that it is giving you is in ticks, not price. And it is 14 period look back. And these are 5-minute bars. Try 22? Why 22? Okay. 22. Maybe the one that we got there is a little bit too responsive. Yeah, that kind of decreased a little bit. Now you can see that the ATR is 4 ticks, is less than 4 ticks. And then we now have to go back to some of these bigger days where you see interesting stuff. Try 22 or 9. 14 is the default, just never use the default. I don't think I have the ATR. Let me see. Nope, I don't. It's a stop indicator? That would be interesting to see. Oops. Here's the 8. Okay, he sent it here. I'll save it. Interesting. So can I move this up to here? Cool. Fun stuff. Okay, let's try this indicator that John has. ATR trailing stop. ATR period, ATR multiplier 3.5 and 5. Okay. Oh. Oh, that is very interesting, John. So the assumption here is that if you were to go long here, for instance, and you trailed the stop by 3.5 times the range, then this is how long you'd be able to stay in that trade. I was hoping to see something like, like it would cross that gulf, but as soon as it does cross it, then that's interesting. So in this case, though, how come it was like here and then it came down and it poked through it, but it didn't turn around? Live action. I'm not trying to be a wise guy, but why add ATR? One more thing to look at when all you need to do is look at the price and instead of focusing on the reason the range is X. I just put it on there. We're just spitballing ideas. Or you can use parabolic SAR for your risk tolerance. It can just be displayed based on your tolerance for risk. John says that's a good compliment to the price pivots. Correct. I see bots has some dark magic technical analysis in him. Well, he's not. I mean, he has the order flow stuff, but I would say that he's much more technical analysis. You have to see technical analysis. This is where so there was this conversation in the lobby in Discord last night, and I brought this up, and I kind of want to bring it up again, but I feel that technical analysis is too broad of a term because there's like different waves, like Elliott wave analysis, and then there's chart patterns like head and shoulders, and then there are your basic technical analysis price based indicators like moving average, for instance. And then we start to get into the complicated voodoo, like some of the stuff that we're looking at here. But the majority of pretty much all of those things are some derivative of price, right? The only thing that I need to be able to draw this, let's put the parabolic SAR in there for you guys too, just because we can compare what we're getting. Okay. Parabolic SAR, I have that. I don't know what you put in there. You can tell me what to put in the parameters, but I'll just click OK for now. We all know that pro traders that trade naked, I think it is helpful when you use tools when a filter is needed. Yeah, we are in the crawl stage, not marathon phase for Seth. No disrespect to Seth. Well, I mean, I think that, look, I have an okay read on order flow in some situations. The problem with order flow, if we say, is that the signals that you're going to get on order flow are very, very short term, right? So, that's interesting. The parabolic SAR is, see, this is what I was looking for right here with the parabolic SAR was at what point does it break this? At what point are the guys long from here or the guys long from here get stopped out and then it gets going? Anyways, what was I going off about? Oh yeah, so I was talking about technical analysis. There's all those different things that are primarily based on price. So then we bring in order flow and level 2. And I think that you really have to look at order flow and level 2 different things, because there's like volume profile and there's cumulative delta, and that's very different from level 2. Level 2 is just more advanced volume, right? So are those not technical analysis? I mean, they're not technical analysis because they're not based primarily on price, and that to me is like the big delineating factor between something that might not work. But you're still have something that you can draw a line on a chart, and you can say, if this line is crossed, that's my entry signal or whatever it is, and so some people argue, however incorrectly, that order flow is just another form of technical analysis. And depending on what your definition of technical analysis is, that could be correct. Because if your definition of technical analysis is the statistical and pattern-based analysis of capital markets, then order flow is a form of technical analysis, because it is a statistic and pattern-based way of analyzing a market. On order flow, I need to see the size that flashes on the ladder at bid/ask, same as looking at tape but faster, like on the TTX ladder trader. So are you talking about the LTQ? Let me show you. Is there anything, before I move on, is there anything else we want to say about this chart, or that you guys would be interested in looking? All of them are forms of technical analysis, says Gary Rich. Well, yeah. Because from that perspective, then there's fundamental analysis, technical analysis, and psychology analysis, right? I love when people say pro traders do this or that. The big difference about pro traders and the rest of us is that pro traders are trading with somebody else's money. Yeah, well, I mean, like at Goldman Sachs, if you're a pro trader, you have this thing, you get the institutional order flow. Okay, like that's a big deal. Okay, especially if you're the axe in the market. Okay, he can see that people are buying something and that he needs to buy so much of stock or commodity X because clients want it. And he knows what prices they want it at. And he can then work the market to try and get the prices that he needs. Okay. And that is a huge advantage. He can see information about what other people want to buy or sell that we cannot see, and is a huge advantage. And that alone makes it, what they do may or may not work for us. Okay. I've heard many stories where they would trade and then they left and tried to do it on their own, and without the institutional order flow, they couldn't do it. So you're right. I will never call myself a pro or an expert. My ego will get me in trouble bad. Okay, so live action. Are you talking about this LTQ column right here? Let me add it on here. So it added it over here. I'll put it right here. Here. And then let's see if I'll probably need to see some volume go through, and then we should okay, there. So that's saying that the last order that went through was a 1. Is that what you're talking about? When it's slow like this, I have one monitor designated for the horse races, and that makes the day a little more fun. Yeah. Well, I'm definitely not trading it today. This is just kind of research. I mean, I enjoy when you guys are talking about all this stuff. I mean, because obviously we're spitballing and putting stuff on there and seeing what kind of patterns you can see, and then seeing if you can actually pull something out of it. Okay, Smash the Bid says, taking order flow signals anywhere and everywhere is your biggest problem. If you could narrow down your area of interest and only take order flow signals at those spots, it would help. Okay, I agree with that. So the question is, which spot should I really be looking at? Because I've tried, we were talking about this earlier. So we made a little poll about what are things that we're most interested in seeing. It looks like right now that from the vote that people are most interested in strong trend continuation trades and this order flow analysis that I've been doing. By the way, for the level 2 analysis that we've been doing. Remember when we were up here and we were seeing a little bit of pulling, and I said, well, maybe the path of least resistance has changed now. And like you can see, it very much did, and we moved down. I think that this could be really useful because it's so much easier to see something stack than it is to pull, and have a graph like that, I think could be really useful. Anyways, so one of them that was on there was like key levels. So I'm sitting there thinking like, okay, we can put in previous days high and low, the value area high and low, the pivots, the what do we get? The opening ranges. Like there's so many key levels, and then you wait for it to get at the key level, and then when you see an order flow signal, you take them there. And I have done that. And on one hand, I would still kind of make that same mistake that Smash the Pit is talking about. But on the other hand, I also found that my ability to predict what it was going to do in those spots was not very high, and the risk reward that I was catching wasn't very good. I don't know, like there was problems with it. So I think that that's on the right track. We need to try and figure out what really are the spots. So for instance, this thing that we did with this other chart, where's that other? Do I still have it? Yeah, I do. This one. It takes quite a bit of trend to even hit my area. And then I can look at order flow and I can say, okay, I see a signal here and I can go short. Maybe maybe that will narrow down the spots that I want to look at. But I'm going to guess that he probably has a different idea of what would be good spot to take. But I like him totally open here because I think right now, like, we've gone through a couple of edges, and I think that I had an edge that worked, but the drawdown is kind of a little messy, and the markets that it works in is a little difficult. So that's why I'm kind of going back from scratch and looking for different setups. And I'm really trying to like really clearly have defined setups. So what market it works well in, what you should see when you're in it, what you shouldn't see, clearly defined risk reward levels, all that sort of a thing. Okay, let's see here. I look at order flow at different price levels to see if liquidity is being provided based on my own signals where I want to enter the bid, or ask at different price levels or short-term support and resistance. Okay. Looking at what you have on that chart, if you look at what my ATR trailing stop is currently showing in conjunction with where those price pivot high lines are drawn, you can clearly see where your risk is if you're short. Yes. Yes, no, I get that part. Davies and Grady talked about these things to look for on order flow. Short is wrong if price breaks 22, 32, 23. Right. Need to get rid of these lines here. So anyways, but going back to the LTQ thing, now that it's showing on there. So live action, how do you use that? What does that tell you when you can see that number? Doesn't it just basically show you the same thing that you should see over in your tape? You know? Why does it matter? How do you use that as a signal? I've heard a lot of people talk about it, but I don't get how it's useful at all. Live action says it's like a tape. I wonder, can I make the LTQ show on? Because I'm pretty sure that you can make it show on the volume profile, right? Last rated quantity. I think that it would be better on like the price or something like that, but because then you can't see what's in that current. You know, I want to be able to see that that's 28,620, and showing a different number there really bothers me. Oops. Oh man. It is so big. That's funny. I guess what we should do is I don't know what we should do. It'd be nice to have it like in the middle there. Like this. Probably doesn't need to be so big, but then you need to I don't know. I don't have enough room. I'd have to consolidate some things. And I'm told that there are specific things. Is where my eyes, and while I'm watching it, I'm drilled measuring the bid-ask depth reaction for likely movement to come. Okay. Well, something that I noticed just with this thing right here, I think that this can show you a pretty good these histograms and whatnot in these charts show you a pretty good argument as to why level 2 matters. Because I know that a lot of people have said, oh, level 2, they can stack and pull stuff and it doesn't really matter. And so they just disregard it. But the fact is that level 2 are orders being placed on the exchange. They're just not executed orders. So they're like volume, but just more advanced. And so, yeah, you probably shouldn't read too much into one individual order unless it's like a really big one and the market really reacts to it. But over in aggregate, you can see some things. And something that we find is that level 2 tends to precede actual executed volume. So if you're watching level 2, you can get signals about things before the volume actually hits. So it's absolutely useful. From here we're seeing, they were pulling orders before we ticked down. You could have known that you could hit into 129.05 half and probably get a few ticks down. It's a really slow day, so let's not read too much into it, but that's the overall theory and what I think we should expect to see as we watch this over the next couple of weeks. That's level 2. That's where I also was like, order flow kind of ends up being too broad of a term. So I've just kind of turned into, well, let's see here. Order flow works. All of us interpret it with slight variations based on how each sees depth. That's true, but the executed orders are important to me. I don't use anything else except for volume profile on the ladder. So you don't use these like traded at, current traded and things like that, right? John says he's got to step away for lunch. Well, it is 9:30. It's about time for us to get going. But we're still going. I'm kind of the mind now that I would rather, instead of saying that technical analysis doesn't work, I would rather say moving averages doesn't work, MACD, or whatever it is, like this specific thing, on its own doesn't work. Because then, somebody can put together a system and do a back test and we can look at the properties of it. And I think that maybe then we would get people much more into the mode of, okay, so show us what does work. And let's go through them. And some of you guys have some things that it sounds like you claim work and that we can try. And so we should be able to go through, try them live, or even in some cases, maybe write a back testing system. I think for this one, the Wyatt trade, after I've looked at it for a week or two, I think that we can backtest this one. And, we can see if there's edge in it or not, and how much edge, and we can quantify it instead of just saying, oh, it doesn't work or whatever. Yeah. Gary says this was a good conversation. Well, I'm glad you feel that way, Gary, because I've been like, some of your comments lately have been eating away at me. I was like, Gary Rich has useful information from me, and I don't understand what he's saying. But maybe we're getting somewhere. Because I really want to make some changes, Like I had something. Like the funny thing was when I was doing that one, and like I know the market that it's supposed to be useful in, and what you're supposed to see and what you're not supposed to see. That's the dumb thing, is that the trade was perfect in terms of what I'm looking to see. Okay, you'll see a big spike in level 2 activity. Usually it's accompanied by volume, but and you don't want it to be too big of a volume spike, and you don't want it to be from news or anything like that necessarily. It tends to work in a range-bound market. When you take it, you should see price reverse by 2 ticks. And if you see any kind of weird order flow or it moves up, then it's wrong and you get out at break even or -1, -2. And you should be able to get at least 2 from it. And you can very often get more than that. You can very often get 6 to 8. But I was just going for 2. But the problem with it is that you will run into periods where it's not range bound for long periods of time. And so the drawdown on it, if you literally take it every time, is too big. Assuming that you don't realize, oh, it's a trending market and I should do something different. So, that one works. We need to come up with other edges that are similar, and I have a big long list of them. So, but we can only do so many at a time. So let's do this one, and if you guys send me something, I will prioritize those two, because we can probably look at 2 or 3 things at a time. I hope. What do you guys think about this chart? I don't know if it was. I mean, now that I have the SAR and everything else on it, it's like not very useful. You mentioned early the Globex Open is important to you. A hedge fund guy said his secret to success was trading the cash close. Bloomberg once said the settlement price is the most important number. Well, I think that probably both of those are important. But I think the reason or at least my theory as to why the open tends to matter is because that's just where people have positions from. Like, up until the regular session open, there's more positions from that location than anywhere else. There we go. Seth, I've been there before. It took me too long to get there. You guys should be far ahead by my age. I'm making 10 times more. You have youth on your side. Oh, thanks, Gary. I mean, I do think, when I look at the opportunity that's available in the market, even on some of these things where it was like, the reason that I lost money was because of my own mistakes or impulsiveness and not necessarily because of problems in the strategy. And you just get rid of those and it's like amazing. So there's certainly, and the probability to, like we were talking earlier, you can absolutely make a living on it if you figure it out. I was just going more from the direction of like, it's really hard to do that. It's really hard from a emotional perspective to do that. At live, the previous session, 5 minutes of the open and the last 5 of the close. Yeah, I would suspect that it probably is going to be different on different markets, right? Like in the E-mini, the first 5 minutes of the open and the last 5 of the close. Oh yeah, those are important points. I think they search for value because so many have to close their margin positions. Yeah. In treasuries, it's going to get more complicated because you're going to want to look at like the Globex open, the London session open, the regular session open, the options pit close, and then the final close. So those are like 5 different spots that you can look for. And it's kind of like which one matters, and I don't know. And then you start getting into these more, like the pivots and the opening ranges and stuff like that, where it's like, oh, come on. You put all of those price levels on the chart, I guarantee you that there's going to be a turnout at least one of those lines. So go back to what worked when you experienced some success and examine that stuff. Yeah. Well, I mean, I think that we've examined that. The one that we've been doing since August, I think we've examined that pretty well and we understand that. And I also think that when the time comes, and in fact, right now is actually not a bad time to be using it, that we can use that. When we go back further, I tend to do well at the beginning of the year, and that was just from reading the order flow, and I'm not exactly sure why. It just seems to me that there are certain cyclical periods when there's more opportunity in the market, and that's why I've done well when I have. Does that make sense? So it's like, if money is coming into, if open interest is increasing, then I seem to have edge, and otherwise I don't. And the amount of time in treasuries during the year when the open interest really isn't increasing is too much, too big. Are you a full-time streamer now? Well, I mean, I don't have anything else to do today. It's a holiday. Are you not? Are you in the US? It's Martin Luther King Day. But I think we got done the key things that we wanted to get done today, and we were able to research and talk about a couple of different things. So we have some ideas. Hopefully get some emails from you guys. And we'll look at that Wyatt thing. Well, I think that we'll have a lot of time to look at stuff like that this week too, because I'm really not expecting a huge move in the stock market. I mean, I could be wrong, but I would expect volatility to be somewhat muted this week. Garrett, Seth, I was talking about last year. You did have some very good days back then. I remember. Oh yeah, like that first part of the year. Yeah, that's the one that really. Well, no, I mean, actually, I do know why I did back then, because it was always that continuation trade, right? That's what was like. We would get those really strong trends. So let's see if I can show you what I'm talking about on a chart, and then probably it's time to get going. Okay, here's a volume profile. Where's my daily ZN? Okay, so I have 2 years loaded in here. So I did really good from here to here. And then I started doing poorly and I kind of sat out. And then this was the time period that we started testing stuff. And then I did good from here up until about here. Air cages. Now he's contradicting me. We'll see some wild volatility. Well, if something happens, it'll definitely be picked up. So can I use a drawing tools? Isn't there a way to like time region highlight X? Yeah. Okay, so it was from December to about mid-March. Region highlight X, shift F1. Okay. And then from around August to mid-October. So do you see any important what is the word? Coincidences in those? It's moving up pretty decent ATR. Pretty decent ATR, especially up in here. And then look, when the ATR is decreasing, like here, I do terrible. I do absolutely terrible. So the issue here was I had a setup and strategy that was very good on trends. And then here, very good on trends. But when the average true range is decreasing, even when I try to do range-bound trades, it doesn't work. I don't know how to deal with it. It's like when people are taking profits, how do you make money off of that? I guess that seems to be the problem. People entering new positions. Then it works great. Oh, I'm sorry. What were we saying? I think they search for value because, well, sometimes I'm not reading all the messages. I think they search for value because so many have had to close their margin. And then you have economic releases, speeches, earnings, and the newest Trump on. Oh yeah, live action. Yeah, like marking those spots. Yeah, maybe we should do more of that. I'll tell you what we can do is we should mark those levels with horizontal rays on these charts. These two charts. We should mark them on these so that we remember those. And the the daily opens and stuff. You can start to deal with it by stop telling yourself you do terrible when the ATR isn't increasing. Yeah, I mean, it's a pretty unavoidable conclusion. We've tried very hard to figure out range-bound trades. At one point, I came to the conclusion that it's just not possible as retail to make money in that area, but I'm not so sure that that's true. There should be enough activity in there that you can still catch something, right? So must be something more to do with me, the way that I look at those areas. Remember when the 10-year yield at 1.5 and then went apeshit to 1.8, massive price drops, trap door, many opens, many fall in, yeah. Yeah. I'm sure that it's a Axia showed an indicator in their last video of a tool that posts economic releases on their chart. I can't imagine why you're struggling when you're changing up things on a weekly basis. Well, that's not true, Air Cages. This is not true at all. We're really darn consistent all the way there from August to really like November. And then even through December, I stuck with it, but we did terrible in December. And then it's only been here in January where I've been, going through searching mode. I kind of look at it as like, here is the possibility of like all strategies. And I'll kind of look at something and say, okay, it's somewhere in here. At least right now it's somewhere in here. And then, try and narrow down that area to find a spot. Because if this is actually the place that's good, I can try and narrow it down to a spot that's like, okay, here's a couple of places that I seem to have some edge that I can find it. And then hopefully you understand enough about it so that in the future when it moves to be like this, you know how to make the adjustment. That is kind of how I look at it. So right now we're still trying to find it. We already have an indicator that posts the economic schedule in the chart. Well, there is that one thing. I don't know. I can just put them on manually, right? Like, can't you even label them? Can you label rays? Properties. I don't think you can label them. I could make one that allows you to put something on it. Because I don't necessarily want every... I don't want to focus on every economic number that's ever come out, but like if there one develops a strong move, then I want to know where that open of that was and be able to see it in the future. Now he's stuck to his stuff. He's just too focused on entry. Entry is only one part. Finding your entry location is more important, in my opinion. Okay. I don't know. Yeah, I think at some points I've had pretty good entries, but then I have difficulty managing the trade and knowing how far it's going to go. And then when I do have a good idea of where it's going to go, then I'll go through and the probability just ends up not being as high as I want during certain periods, Then it's the mental game, right? It's like, when it stops working, can you, continue to trade it successfully? Because can you keep yourself in the zone? Because it seems like that when you have a losing trade, that it seems to affect your ability to do the analysis. That's been my observation. I found an old video of their elite trader using 10 monitors, 3 keyboards, and mice, 3 monitors designated to news to do ladders. Oh man, 10s and 10 screens. I have to say, when I was at Goldman Sachs, I didn't see any of those workstations that had more than 6 monitors. And the ones that had 6 monitors, probably this 5-minute chart or this, or you're probably talking about, which one is it? Anyways, they're probably they always had like multiple computers when they had 6. Like if they had 6 monitors, that usually meant that they had like 3 virtual machines going. I think I actually closed it. Did I actually close it? I can't believe I actually closed it. That was dumb. Let me double check here. It was an ES. It was an ES chart. I guess I did. Darn. I'll close that. So do focus on fundamental news and refuses to switch up his bias when the market keeps telling him that he's wrong. So that one is an interesting observation too, because I will definitely get into a situation. It hasn't happened recently, but much longer ago, we would get a situation where it's like, okay, the news is bad, so Treasury should buy, and then maybe it goes, but it comes back, and then I think, oh, okay, but it's still good, and they should buy it back up, and you think like, oh, it doesn't, and it goes down, and you get stopped out, and then it does go, or it just never does. And I kind of look at that as like, well, you can make your trade on the news, and sometimes you're just wrong about the news, or it doesn't matter. And that one, you probably just like, you just need to limit you shouldn't be trying to take that 5 times, right? So that's where I'll be unsure about it. It's like, I think that I have the right trade, but since it's all news and everything, I don't know where the right entry is. And so I might try it like 4 or 5 times. I've done that before. So that one's a different thing. So I do tend to be pretty good on the news. At least lately I've been doing pretty good of him. Has someone wake Ace up? Yeah, let him sleep. He's probably dealing with the kids. He'll be back later in the week. I mean, there's lots of when you look at it, there's really no wonder that it's so hard for people to become successful traders, because you really got to understand a lot, I think. One of the things I was reading in this Douglas book, they were saying, well, the reason that most of these people never get profitable is because of the psychology. I'm not so sure that I agree with that. I think that the level of analysis that you need to have is like this, and most of us have like this, but we have little stripes within that. And then on top of that, then there's this huge gulf on top of that. You will get it unless we need to chew your food and big feed you. Yeah. Well, so here's the interesting thing with because Ace will come in and he'll post a trade, and I've followed some of those trades, and I made money off of it. Right. I had to adjust it because he can let them run, and we discovered when I'm just trying to let them run on one contract that doesn't work. But I think I've done pretty good at consistently following that. I've tried taking other trades beyond that because I was doing okay with them. It seems to me that the reason I was doing okay with those was because the E-mini was really volatile. So now that the E-mini is calming down, it's been tough. Super tough. Well, I could yap all day, guys, but I think it's probably a good time to stop since it's almost 10 o'clock. And I don't know what, well, I'm going to make a song. You want to hear the song I'm working on? You can give me some feedback on the song here. Let me close Ninja Trader first because it's a lot of memory. I'll play the song for you guys that I've been working on. It might be really loud. I might have to turn this down. Might be super loud. Now, what's this here? So let's see how loud it is. Actually, I'm going to turn the volume down here, like way down, and then I'll turn it up. I don't hear it. It's not coming out on the desktop audio. I must not be able to pass it out like that. I guess you guys can't. I guess you guys don't get to hear it. Disc. It must be because it takes like complete. Ah, that sucks. Am I sure it's not? No, it's. Yeah, I don't think you guys could hear that. You make songs. Yeah, I do make songs. Yeah, oh, that's so weird that you can't see it, but its output. Yeah, I don't know. Weird. Weird. DJ said, "Yeah, I have. I mean, haven't you guys seen? Like, if you look in the videos, you can see my DJ controller in the background. He used to do a lot of that stuff. I'm pretty happy with this track, but it's gonna need. I don't know. It's gonna need a lot of mix down work." Yes, just the right depth and volatility. I think that's right. I could do that. Play it through the speakers, and then it'll come through the microphone. Let's see. I don't know if you can hear that. Yeah, you can barely hear it. Probably can't really hear it. I'll be interested to come back and watch the video and see what that sounds like through the microphone. Man, I'm like so like the thing that I always do when I'm making a song is like I'll make it and then you go to sleep, and if you come back and you're not really feeling the song again, then I usually stop working on it. Like there should be enough of an emotional connection into the song that it should last beyond just that one moment that you made it. And I actually started this one like in December, and then I hadn't touched anything for a while, and I was listening to it last night. I was like, oh, here's a couple of things that I can fix up on this and make it a little bit better. So I did all of that, and then I slept on it, and now I'm listening to it, and I'm like, this is a really effing good song. I really like it. No interest. I have been trading ES more recently because I'm sick of the low volatility bonds. Yeah. It sounds like it's coming from the trailer park half a mile from your house. I bet. You know, I've been wanting to trade ES more because of the low volatility in the bonds too. But, you know, I very much prefer the way that the bonds move when the bonds are moving to the way that the ES moves. The ES is just seems like the ES is so much more likely to stop you out. Anyways. All right, so with that, I will check you guys tomorrow. We'll try some of this other stuff. I should show you guys the end thing here. Thanks for all the Patreon subscribers. Cryptocurrency's kind of moving up here. I post notes. I post the fundamental analysis that we get, and then my own notes on what I think about the price action. Kind of keeping in mind that fundamental value underneath of it. So you can check that out. I'll start posting some of these statistical results from some of the trades that we're going to be analyzing here on there as well. So $5 a month. Thank you guys that support the channel. We use it. We've made it. You know, it's kind of funny because we got
Derivatives trading involves substantial risk of loss and is not suitable for all investors. Derivatives trading involves substantial risk of loss and is not suitable for all investors.
Forget about that. Now it's going to show that for a little while. I was going to show the camera, but now I just feel dumb. Oh man, we have a nice camera. We have a nice microphone. Like really hard to. We still need to make the little board in the back. I think that maybe once the baby is here and I have some extra time during the day, I will do that. Anyways. Gamma analysis. You know, I was showing that picture from the other day of gamma, and you guys are just going to get me off on another tangent. The camera looks great. I want to buy a new lens, but the camera looks great. But I think that, you know, I want to use, so we do make a little bit from the channel from advertising and from the Patreon. I really want to use it to put back into the channel to grow the channel. So I think that the next set of things, once we get the board, then I feel like, and a lens, after that, it's kind of like not a whole lot that we can spend on the setup that would really benefit you guys very much. So then at that point, I think that we might need to start looking at like hiring people. So I'm hoping we can get to the spot where we can hire people. Any resource you can point me to if I wanted to learn about that? Gee, you know, it's not really something I've researched a whole lot about, and certainly not recently. You could try the Discord channel. Maybe I'll do some little research about that and maybe get back to you on that one. Is it a sophisticated camera? It's a Canon. I mean, it's okay. The lens apparently is not as sharp as it could be. When it comes through the encoding and everything, it gets a little blurry. All right. Tomorrow. See you. Stay profitable.